Good evening, everyone. Again, you're welcome to Purposeful Designers Conference Part 2. Yeah, I meant Edition 2. All right. So, and today is day three of the conference. As you already know, this is we are speaking on the right mindset, treating the right mindset, and we believe that everyone have been learning from day one. Yeah, self awareness that we treated on day one. Yesterday it was from thought to action. Yeah, you learn on how to know yourself, and then you learn about how to bring your ideas into action. But today, every every topic, right, they are in progression. Yeah, and today we have Tola Alabi on cultivating a growth mindset. Yeah, so I want you guys to sit back and just get a cup of water, like I said earlier, because you're gonna learn, right? Not the hard way, but you learn and then we all grow together. Yeah. I don't have much to say. Right. We all know who Sati is. And for those who don't know him, yeah, Sati is a thought leader. Yeah. If I say thought leader, you should know what that means. No further introduction. Yeah. He was here before at our first conference, and then he's here again. So we are very honored to have him. We are glad to have you here again, sir. It's a great honor to have you. Yeah. So please, guys, help me welcome Sati with your stickers. Let me see your stickers so he knows that they are with him. Just send just your stickers. Your stickers, please. Thank you. Thank you. I'm seeing only one person. Okay, thank you. Awesome. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to leave the stage and leave the mic to Satie. All right, sir.
All right, thanks a lot, Maven. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here again. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah,
I
very
think
well,
let's
sir.
establish that. All right, thank
Very
you
well.
for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm sorry I'm not able to use my video for some reasons. Number one reason is because my I'm having some issues with my phone battery, and I realized that when I do videos, it consumes the battery faster, and so
Okay.
I will just have to um, go with the audio right now. So I hope that's fine with
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I
sir.
hope it doesn't stop you from connecting. Um, all right, so I, I want to talk briefly today, at least within the next hour,
Okay.
about developing a growth mindset. And I think this is a very, very important subject matter that we are dealing with, as it addresses something that a lot of people long for, which is growth. So what's a growth mindset, and what are the things that help us to develop a strong growth mindset? And in this session, I'm going to be touching on 5 things that help us to develop a growth mindset. These are 5 things that I've experienced in my life, 5 things that I've seen other people experience in their own lives too, that help them to grow. But I think we talk before we even touch on what helps us to fortify our minds in such a way whereby we our mind is growth driven. We first thing we need to know is what does growth mean to you? I think that's the first question you need to answer. What's the anatomy of growth to you? Because I've come to realize that I get to talk with people day in day out with the kind of job I do, which is a lot of teaching and mentoring. I have the privilege of talking to a lot of people, and I realize that there are people out there who are actually growing, but they don't know it. They and it's one of the most unfortunate things I see out there. People that are growing but are giving up because they do not know how to identify growth. So they have the wrong matrix of growth. So I think the first place to start is the anatomy of growth. What does it look like? You cannot hunt an animal that you don't know what it looks like. So if we went hunting for a wolf and you don't know what a wolf looks like, you would see a wolf and you would pass by it. You understand? So we need to know what growth is. We need to be able to visualize it and know, oh, this is what growth means. And so that we can take right sensors of whether we are growing or not. So first of all, I think a misconception people have is that growth is about scale. That's a big misconception. That growth is scale. Growth means getting bigger. Now, growth can mean getting bigger, but true growth is not about scale. The soul of growth is not about how big something gets. Growth is more about the quality of a thing than it is about the size of a thing. Growth is more about how something improves in quality than it is about how it improves in size. So growth is more about, is it getting better than is it getting bigger? However, you have a lot of people that believe bigger is better, but bigger is not always better. So a lot of times people say they are not growing. What they think about is matrices like, is my bank account getting bigger? What they think about matrices like, is my social media following getting bigger? They think about the size of the audience or the size of the payment. But then they're not asking themselves the real soul question, which is, am I getting better? Am I getting better at this thing I'm doing? Because therein is real growth. I remember some years ago, we planted a mango tree in our compound. Many, many years ago, about 10 or so years ago. And the mango tree started to grow. And we're getting so excited. It was growing so big. And but we realized first year, second year, third year, fourth year, it was occupying space. It was even beginning to even break the fence with the roots, with the strong roots. But then it wasn't yielding any fruit. Not one fruit, not half a fruit. Nothing. There was no fruit. And after a while, it became a big inconvenience. A big inconvenience. It was big. In scale, it has scaled up. It was bigger in size. But then there was no fruit. At that point, we would have even preferred if it was small and gave us fruit. But then it was big, occupying space, so we had to cut it down. We had to totally uproot it because it became an inconvenience. Now, at the mango tree, did it grow? Yes, it grew. But did it really grow? No, because it produced no quality. And so you have people out there right now that are judging their growth because of they're looking at, oh, how many people, how big am I? It's not about how big, it's about how much better you are. It's about your how much better what you produce is. Are you producing? How much better in quality is that thing that you're producing? How much better is it? That's what true growth is. So first of all, I need us to work out this anatomy of growth so that when you see growth, you know it. Growth is a personal question, to be honest with you. But a lot of times, we think it's more of an external answer. You can answer whether you're growing or not. You are the first person to answer that. But it takes a lot of internal reflection for you to say, oh, I'm growing. I've grown. It's not all about size. It definitely isn't all about size. It's more about, is it better than is it bigger? I remember I went to school and there was this young man that I went to school with. He was in a much lower class. A much, much lower class. But by size, he was not meant to be in that class. So when I was in SS2, The boy was in JS2, but he was almost my height. He was almost my height. But then when this guy, he when you get to interact with him, you realize that his cognitive abilities are kind of stunted. He he was a special student, so he had some some cerebral challenges. So when you talk to him, he can give you an off answer, and he can just be in the middle of the class and just shout something. You understand? So a lot of times, I truly believe he shouldn't have been in that school. I believe that they should have taken him to a school where they can pay special attention to him. But for some reasons, his parents just threw him into a school with other normal type students. But he was big, he was tall. But the truth of the matter was, he wasn't better. He wasn't getting better at reasoning. Do you understand? So a lot of times, I just want to emphasize that this growth is not bigger. Growth is better. Am I getting better? Because we have some people that were short. They were short. They're the shortest in their class, but they got better at subjects. They were learning. They were able to learn. But here was this guy who was tall, who wasn't able to learn. When you look at both of them, who was really growing? So first of all, shake that mentality that growth is about skill. It's hardly about skill. It's about substance. Growth is not about skill. It's about substance. Don't let anybody intimidate you with skill. Substance is what lasts. Skill diminishes with time. Substance is what lasts. Growth is about substance. Now, the principle of growth is founded on 5 things. For you to have this mentality where you actually begin to increase in substance, not particularly skill. You might increase in skill, that's good. But what you should always look at to judge whether you are growing effectively is whether you are increasing in substance. And there are 5 things that allow us to increase in substance. And I'm going to go through those 5 things quickly so that we can be done within an hour. Now, the first thing, which is the foundation of a growth mindset, of a substance-based mindset, is praise. Or praise. Praise is very important. You know, funny enough, I didn't want to say praise first, but for some reason, praise came out first out of my mouth. So I'm going to go with praise first. Praise. A lot of times we undervalue, undermine the value of praise. 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 A lot of time we talk about praise, we think of our mind goes to church and stuff like that. But praise doesn't start. Praise is not a church-bound quality. Praise is a human-driven action. It's a human-driven and a human-driving action. It's not about church. You understand? We give it to God because not only does it drive us humans, it drives even God. So if it can drive God, imagine what it does to us. Praise. Praise can also be called validation. But we don't know, a lot of us underestimate the value of validation. Well, validation is such an incredible thing. Such an incredible thing. A lot of us would have gone much further in our lives and produced more substance if only we were in an environment where we got more praise. We don't praise enough. For a lot of us, our parents did not praise us enough. Our parents don't praise. Our teachers in school are not even in the habit of praising. It's so sad in the Nigerian environment. Parents don't praise, teachers don't praise. So where does the child get praise from? Praise is such an integral foundation for growth. It's like the fertilizer for growth. Do you know if you didn't teach people anything and you just woke up in the morning and praised them, they will go out and learn things themselves. They would have so much confidence that each day they will discover things themselves. If you didn't take a child to school, to traditional school, and you praise that child every morning about how wonderful they will grow in leaps and bounds intellectually, like if they went to a school. Because they will get education from their eyes will open to everything around them. You see, human beings, we were created for dominion, and dominion comes from confidence. A person that is not confident cannot dominate. And immediately we have that confidence to dominate, it instills in us a desire to learn. Praise is so important. Praise is a very integral principle to develop a growth mindset. If you ever compare children that grew up in houses where their parents praised them, they are different from children that grew up in houses where they were faced with constant abuse and criticism. So different. You see, I was watching a documentary some years ago, about last year, or was it 2 years ago? It's called Genius. Genius is not spelled the way genius is spelled. I think it's called, I think it's Genus, Genius or something. It's the story of Kanye West. For those of you that might know Kanye West is an American hip hop artist. And he started out as a producer, a very prolific producer. But then we also discovered that he was a very prolific rapper. And then he went on to be a very prolific designer, fashion designer. And it's like anything he touches turns to gold. Anything. He's incredibly talented. And I've always wondered why Kanye West was such a talented person. He's like incredibly talented, undeniably, like a savant type talent. But then I watched this documentary because I love watching documentaries because it takes me into places that, man, information that I would never have had. So I watched a documentary about Kanye West, and I will advise anyone. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I will advise anyone to watch it. If you're interested in music, you can watch it. But if you just want to understand how somebody can be excellent at something, watch it. When I watched it, I realized why Kanye West was an incredible producer and an incredible rapper, an incredible fashion icon. There was this part where they followed him to his mother's house, and he was having some confidence problem because he was trying to promote his album, and his album wasn't getting the traction it should get, and the record label kept on pushing it back. So he went to his mom's house, and when he spoke with his mom, as I listened to the dialogue between him and his mom, I said, oh, no wonder. The way the mom talked about Kanye West to his hearing, she poured in nothing but praise into his ears. And I said, if this woman brought up this boy and he grew up under her for over 20 years, there's no way this guy is not the most confident person out there. Just that scene alone, you would realize that he was never denied praise. She told him how wonderful he was, how amazing he was, just doing pretty much nothing. He was just sitting down at his kitchen counter and she was listening to one of his songs, and she listened like a fan. And she was like, this is so amazing. You're so good, Kanye. You're so amazing. You're so incredibly talented. It was just overwhelming praise. And you could see him turn into a little boy again in glee and just being happy with himself. And then he went back out again and pushed that album some more. Nobody could tell him that album wasn't the best. And that album broke records. The album is called The College Dropout. Incredible album. I have the album. The album is incredible. Incredible. Songwriting, production, arrangement, incredible. You see, he was never denied praise. Never. I'm reading a book right now on Steve Jobs, and I keep talking about this book. I've been talking about it everywhere I go. On my podcast, I talk about it. You know what's interesting about Steve Jobs? The guy that, for those of you that don't know, Steve Jobs is one of the founders of Apple. You understand? So the iPhone they are using and all those things, He's one of the founders of that company. Steve Jobs was put up for adoption by his natural parents, by his parents. He was put up for adoption. And he was adopted by these people. Now, his natural parents, his real parents, are intellectual people, well educated, Ivy League educated people. But then their parents, they had some issues when the woman got pregnant, when they were expecting the baby. The woman's father, his mother's father, didn't want her to marry the man she was in love with. So he said if she should marry him, he would disown her. So immediately they made up their mind that they would put up the baby for adoption, which is something that in the end, it really ate on them for a long time. But then they put up Steve Jobs for adoption, but they said they wanted to put him up only to a couple that was very educated like them too. So when they gave birth to the baby, there was this couple, that were lawyers, very well educated. When they saw that the baby was a boy, they said they don't want a boy, so they backed out. And then there was this couple of people who never went to college. Paul and I've forgotten his wife's name, something Jobs, and they were not educated, but they wanted this baby. And the mother of Steve Jobs said, "You must promise me one thing, that you will send him to college." And they said they will send him. They were not high income people. Remember, they never went to college. They were high school, some of them high school graduate, high school dropout. His dad was a mechanic. The adoptive dad was a mechanic. So they took him in. But you know what? Steve Jobs said something in that book. He said the level of praise that his parents poured into him. He said they didn't have money to send him to the best of schools. They tried their best. They squeezed their pocket. But one thing they poured on him, they lavished on him, was praise. He said the amount of praise they gave him, he felt like he could do anything. His parents always made him believe that he could build everything. And because of this mindset, this growth mindset that his parents gave him, Steve Jobs attempted to do. There's nobody he couldn't call. He could call the president of America and ask for anything. He was that confident because they poured in praise to him. He said even in school, when the teachers complained about him, that because he liked doing pranks, because he was bored by how slow school was moving. He said whenever the teachers complained about him, his father would go to school and tell the teacher, "Stop complaining about my son not paying attention. If you cannot make my son pay attention, then it's your fault. It means that you are not interesting enough for him." That's how much confidence they put in him. They didn't have money to give him, but they gave him praise, and that meant the world to him. Praise is the big foundation for a growth mindset. Praise. Incredible foundation. Incredible foundation. I had an auntie growing up. She always praised me, always, always. And she built a lot of confidence in me. Always had been a very highly insecure person. For some reason, she just liked me. She was actually my cousin, but she was old enough to be my auntie, so I used to call her auntie. She was years older than me, and I'm still in contact with her now. I don't let people like that go. When I was very, very young, she used to just tell me, "Oh, you're so good looking, you're so great, you're so talented." Oh, she was so good, and she still does it till now. I would never lose her phone number. She's very important. If I lose any phone number on my phone, I'll keep that one. Do you understand? Because she builds me up, and I realize how rare that is. So praise is very important. I don't spend too much time on it. So praise, number one, growth mindset. The second principle that helps you to develop a growth mindset is the principle of practice. Practice. If you want to develop a growth mindset, you need to be committed to what you are doing and committed to doing it consistently. Nothing grows without being consistently nurtured. Nothing grows without being consistently nurtured. People, you don't understand consistency. You see, if there's anything I've learned this year, is how incredible consistency at doing something is. To just keep doing it. Oh, you get so much better by just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. The more you do it, the better you get. You see, people that know me know that I started out as a logo designer. But before I did logo, I was doing graphic design. So, at the very core, I'm a designer. You understand? I don't even like telling people I started out because I'm still a designer. Just that I don't do design commercially anymore. But I'm still a designer by nature. That is who I am. That is my tribe. Those are my people. Do you understand? Designers. I'm a designer. But then, people will say, you see, how did your design get so good? Because I'll tell you, I'm very good at design, incredibly good at design, very good at it. But people don't understand that from the first day I found graphic design, someone introduced me to Corel Draw. That was the first mistake they made to introduce me to it. You see, I saw someone designing and I said, I want to design, I want to learn, but I didn't know the tools. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know how people design. So one of my friends told me, Corel Draw is what you use. I said, okay, where can I get Corel Draw? He told me, just go to a software market. Because then internet was very weak then. You can't download anything. So you have to go and buy the CD. So I was looking. I went to bookshop. They said they don't sell it in bookshops. So I then went to a market here in Abuja and I got it. And I installed it on my dad's laptop, Corel Draw. That was the first mistake anybody in Abuja made to give me that Corel Draw CD. So I installed it. And then I now had to find somebody to teach me. I reached out to one guy. He said, pay 30K. I said, I don't have 30K. I don't have 30K. I don't even have 5K. I don't even have 500 naira. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have this money. If I'm going to do anything. So I went home. When he told me 30K, I went to and told my mom, this guy wants to teach me this thing. I want to learn. Say, what's it? Say, Corel. Say, what's Corel Draw? Because you have to remember, this was 20 years ago in Nigeria. My mother didn't know what Corel Draw is. Me, I was just getting to know what Corel Draw is. 30K. 30K was some people's salary then. And no, I was just going to learn something I don't know. I don't know what it is. I said, Mommy, please lend me this money now. She said, no. She said, what I can lend you is 10K. 10K, wow. I said, I don't have 10K. So I went back to the guy. I said, I'll pay you 10K. Guy threw me out of his office. Guy said, no, 10K. I'm not. So I invited him to my house, to my parents' house then. I entertained him, bought drinks for him. Said, this is the guy. Please take this 10K. The guy said he won't take 10K. So he left. So my mom knew that I really wanted to learn this thing. So she was asking people, this thing that my son wants to learn, Corel Draw, stuff like that. What's it? It's one software that people use in cyber cafes and stuff. So she said, who can use it? And funny enough, there was an engineer in our office who said, okay, I have a cyber cafe in my house and I happen to know how to use Corel Draw. If he can come to my house, I will teach him for 4 weeks. I think 4 or 8 weeks. I think it was 2 months. I think it said 8 weeks. Teach for 8 weeks and he would know how to use it. I said, all I can spare is 10K. And the guy said, no problem. So she paid him 5,000. I said she would pay him the next 5,000 afterwards. After the first month. So I said, I was so excited. So he said I should come to his house every Saturday. And that time I was just learning how to drive. I didn't know how to drive. But his house was several kilometers away from my house. And this was me not knowing how to drive, but I had to get to his house. So I drove for several kilometers, sweating and almost having an accident. But then I drove because I wanted to learn this Corel Draw. The first time I went there, all I wanted to learn was how to use the tools. So when I went there, he said the first class we will have is this tool is the pen tool. This tool is the text tool. This tool is the lasso tool. This tool is the ink bucket. That's all he showed me. He just showed me this tool, this is what it does. And I looked at him and then he gave me an assignment. He said I should go and create like a business card or something. And immediately he showed me the tools. I went home and I didn't sleep. I used those tools from morning till night. And he said I should come the next Saturday, to give him one business card. By the end of that night, I'd made like 3 business cards. By the next day, I'd made business card and flyer. By the other day, I'd made so many things. So by the time I got there on Saturday, I showed him so many things. I said, this is not what I asked you to do now. I said, yeah, but I had to continue creating every day. He said, he told me, even I cannot create this thing that you've done. So your lesson is over. So all I paid was 5K because he couldn't teach me anymore. I became incredibly better than him in a span of 1 week because I did it every single day for 1 week. In 1 week, I became better than my teacher. That's how incredible consistency is. We undermine that thing called consistency. Just doing something every day. This guy taught me how to use, I never used CorelDRAW before. He just taught me the tools. But then he left it and went to go and do work. I was expecting me to come on Saturday and just doing it. But I did it every single day for several hours. And by the time I saw him a week later, I was better than him. He couldn't teach me. He said, I can't teach you. It was one thing, teach me how you did this stuff. Teach me how you did this. In 1 week, I was better than him. Because in 1 week, I was consistent at practicing. So a lot of people that tell me I want to grow at doing this thing, and they say, but I will only do it when somebody is paying me. You can never be better at something that you do only when you're being paid. Nobody gets better at doing something by doing it only when they are being paid. You get better at stuff you do for leisure, as a job, when you are bored, when you are interested. Practice. Practice is of incredible value. It's an incredible principle. You see, I've forgotten what Olympics Michael Phelps introduced himself to the world at. I've forgotten, but I think it was like 3, 4 Olympics away. But then I never used to watch swimming in the Olympics. I don't think many people watch swimming in the Olympics till Michael Phelps came and called everybody's attention to Olympics. Well, swimming was not really popular, you understand, an Olympic sport. But then I can't remember the year. This tall, lanky guy just started winning medals like if it was nothing. And then everybody started tuning in. Man, I want to watch this guy. I want to watch this guy. I want to watch this guy. And he won so many medals. I think he's still one of the highest decorated gold medalists in Olympic history. I think he is. Either him or Bolt or somebody, but he's incredibly good at swimming. And after the Olympics, they interviewed him on CNN. And he said he swims every day for more than 8 hours, every single day. There's no Monday, no Sunday, no anything. 8 hours a day. How can someone be swimming when you're not a fish? 8 hours a day, every single day. For over 15 years, the guy swims like that. So when the Olympics came, he was ready. He was ready because he practiced. He practiced like crazy. It wasn't luck. The Olympic was just an opportunity of showing himself or what he has been doing for years. That's what it does. It tells you, it says it doesn't party. It doesn't interact. He goes, eats in the morning, eats a particular type of, and goes to swim. The other day, there's a gymnast that my daughter likes a lot, Simone Biles. I never heard of her. My daughter that told me about her because my daughter is interested in gymnastics. I watched a documentary on Netflix on Simone Biles. Practices every single day. They have nothing else to do but to commit themselves to this thing. And so the way they grow is astronomical. If you see anybody that grows astronomically, that person is practicing insanely. So practice is very important. The third thing that is important to develop a growth mindset, this third principle on which a growth mindset must rest on, is patience. Patience. A lot of people, especially in the world we are living in right now, everything has to be fast. We want results very fast. People are not patient anymore. But growth takes time. Get that in your mind. Growth takes time. You need to be patient. The distance between where you want to go and where you are, the gap is always much. You understand? The gap is always much. Distance is incredible distance. Patience is a virtue that allows us to give growth space. Growth needs space. Give growth room to grow. Growth needs space to grow. That's the truth. Patience. Very important. Patience. A lot of people have distorted and disrupted their growth because they have been impatient. Very impatient. Um, you know, in the year 2006, on Christmas Day, my my family, all of us, we went out to church. And after church, we normally go out to spend time with our extended family. And by spending time with them, we always spend the whole day there. And then we return home at night. So when we came back home at night on that Christmas Day, 2006, we realized that our house had been robbed. Someone had broken into our house, or people had broken into our house and stolen a lot of things. Stole my laptop, stole my iPad, stole some things that my wife owned, just those things. It was very, very traumatic. So we felt very insecure and we thought, oh, we need to get something for security. So, for the first time, I love animals, but then my wife was not open to us having animals. But for the first time, we both agreed that it would be good for us to get a dog. So I went out and I bought a dog. But we needed a big, intimidating dog. So I looked for a breed that was big. So I heard that this breed called the Bull Mastiff was big. So I studied the dogs. I said Rottweilers, are they good? They are big too, but then they can be aggressive. I didn't want something that was so aggressive because I had little children. So I want something that was good with children, something that didn't need me to walk it every day. You understand? A dog that didn't need too much exercise. So the Bull Mastiff ticked all the buttons. So I looked at the dog on the internet and the dog was big. So I went out to buy one. But when I bought one, I bought a puppy and the puppy was so small. It was really small. Oh man, and I was like, how long will this one take to be big the way we want it? So I was frustrated with because we wanted something that would give us, that we can unleash and we make people scared, even when we're not at home, so they don't enter our house. So I was getting impatient. I tried to feed it, and then people were giving me, this is where I'm going. People started giving me advice. They told me, go and buy this particular kind of growth drink for them or stuff like that, supplements and stuff. But then when I started reading about supplements, I said these things are not too good. Oh. If you make a 1-month-old dog look like a 1-year-old dog, that dog will not be able to carry itself very well. The joint problem, the dog might die fast. Let it grow naturally. It was very hard for me to look away from all these things that people were telling me to go and get. But then I knew that if the dog grew naturally, it will live longer. So I had to wait and I was patient. I didn't try to force the growth. And first year, it got a bit bigger. Second year, by the time it got to the third year, the dog became a monster. It was like, even when I look at it till today itself, people just look at it, they can't come to the house anyhow. It became a monster, very intimidating. The head is big. And I was like, this only happened by waiting. And I realized that people that bought dogs at that time, when I had my dog, because I remember someone bought a dog once. I said, your dog is so small, you're not giving it supplements, you're not giving it this, you have to boost it, give it supplements. And I felt intimidated when he showed me his own dog. I said, look at my own dog, just a few months, look how big it is. See, your own is too small. At 6 months, it should be bigger than this. I used to be frustrated with my dog. Frustrated. But then I took in my mind, I'm not going to give it supplements to boost the growth. No, I will feed it normally and take care of it. Now my dog is about 8 years old. 8 years old, is it 8 years or 9 years? About 8 years old. That person that told me, see my dog, his dog is dead. His dog died like 4 years ago. Dead. You see, don't let anybody rush you to grow. Growth takes time. You need to be patient. Patience. I meet so many people that are not patient. Patience. You need to be patient. And it's hard to be patient in this world that we are living right now because social media always presents to us finished products. You see somebody at the height of their career, and I think that's a mistake. We don't see the gap between when they started and where they are right now. Patience, very important. You know, the other day, YouTube suggested a video to me, and it was this video of I don't know, for you people that might not know him, Layemi is a food critic. I just knew about him, was it last year or 2 years ago? You understand? I knew about him on Instagram, and I won't say I'm a big fan of him. I just know about him. You understand? Because he's in a space that not too many people are. But then, what's interesting? What's interesting is when I saw this video. It was a video from 4 years ago. From 4 years ago, and I never knew that he had been doing food critiquing since then. I just thought he just popped up and just started doing it 2 years ago. But obviously, he had been doing it 4 or 5 years ago. And when I watched that video, he didn't have any fancy background, anything. It was even the views were very few. His views were abysmal. But then it made me respect the fact that he was patient enough. So a lot of times we don't see the beginning. We always see the end of people's journeys. We always see when they are complete, when they are, you know, when things are beginning to come to fruition. We don't see when they were sowing the seeds. So we don't learn patience. Patience is so important. If you do not, if you do not have patience as a principle guiding your mind, you cannot have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is one that says, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm willing to wait. Things take time. You took time before you came into this world. You took time. Some of you took 9 months. Some of you took 7 months. Some of you took 9. Some of you took 12 months. You understand? It takes time. It takes time. It takes time for a product to be made. It takes time. Patience is very important. Patience is a virtue. The next principle that's important for a growth mindset is pain. 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 A lot of people reject pain, but they don't understand that without pain, there's no gain. That's the truth. Pain is important. You know, I started with praise. Praise is sweet. Pain is not as sweet. But pain is very important. Pain is important. Pain helps us to grow. At every growth stage, we go through some kind of pain or the other. Every growth stage, go through some kind of pain or the other. You know, the beautiful thing about pain is pain makes us reflect. It helps us to reflect. It helps us to cut out things from our lives that we don't need. It's pain. Pain helps us to evaluate our lives. You see, um, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you two stories of pain that I have. One, you know, I used to be a very, very big football fan. Football, I used to watch football a lot. English Premier League. Big football fan. And, you know, a big fan of a club called Manchester United. Followed them for years now. Since 2001, I was introduced to the club and I've been following them. Big fan. And, you know, in the 2001, early 2000s, when they were on the top of their game, doing so well, they were arguably the best football club in the world. Arguably the best football club in the world. And it was so sweet watching them then. Being a fan of Manchester United was very sweet then. Very sweet. And for a long time, I've invested a lot of my time watching their matches. A lot of my time. A lot of my time watching Manchester. A lot of my Saturdays have been dedicated to watching Manchester United matches. You understand? And I think the past 4 years has been terrible for the team. Terrible. The team is a shadow. It is anything worse than a shadow, less than a shadow. That's what the team is of itself. You understand? They're not playing well. I won't say they're not playing so well. They're not playing well. They're not doing well as a team compared to the early 2000s, late 90s. No, they're not doing that. You won't believe it's the same team. The quality of the team has dropped so much. And for the past 4 years, that have been so painful watching them lose. So painful for a team that's so invested in watching. So painful. But where I'm going is that the pain of watching Manchester United lose was very important for me because I stopped watching them. I stopped watching them because it was so painful watching them. But you know what? When I stopped watching them, you know what that did for me? I had my Saturday back and I realized how important my Saturdays were. I realized I'm not watching these guys anymore. And now I have more time. I have my emotions back. I've cut out football from my life. Football is not a big part of my life anymore. You understand? Now I'm able to have my emotions balanced. Before, when I watch football and they lose, I'll be angry. I'm like, are they even paying me? They're not paying me. Why am I angry? Why am I upset? You understand? And when they win, I'll be happy. I'm like, what am I happy for? So you see, when they started losing, it was a lot of pain for me. But then this pain got me to think, do I really need this football? Is this football really important in my life? And I made the decision last year. I'm not watching no football again. And that's been one of the best decisions I've made. One of the best decisions. Because it allowed me to focus on better things that profit me directly, rather than things that profit a set of young guys that are being paid hundreds of thousands of pounds. You understand? I'm beginning to say, okay, I don't need this thing. What do I need it for? So that pain made me realize I needed to cut that thing off. Was it that important to be cutting me pain? No. So the pain made me question it. Imagine if they are still been winning. I will never question it. And there would go a lot of my Saturdays. The second thing that happened that I questioned was, for a very long time, I used to take carbonated drinks like Coke, Fanta. In fact, it became almost a tradition in my house where me and my wife would just drink carbonated drink at night. When the kids go to bed, we just sit down to a movie and drink it and stuff like that. It was fun, but after a while, I realized these carbonated drinks used to trigger ulcer pain in my chest region. Every time I drink Coke, I just realized that the gas will flare up ulcer pains that I'm prone to having. And the pain will last for so long, so discomforting, so bad. I'll be like, man, this pain is too bad. Was it worth that Coke? And after a while, I told my wife, I'm not taking Coke, Fanta, I'm not taking it again. Last year, I just made my mind, I'm not taking this thing again. You see, the pain made me realize, is this thing that important? And I've stopped taking it. And you realize when I stopped taking this Coke, Fanta, my weight dropped. And that's why you don't realize how much some of these things we take in affects our health. When I just stopped taking, I'm not taking a bottle of Coke for over a year now. I don't take it. I don't take anything but water. You see, it was the pain that caused me to evaluate my life. The pain, that chest pain I was having. I said, Tola, do you want to keep having this chest pain? Then you have to do the necessary. If you want to grow old and live well, then you have to cut out something. It's pain. Pain. Pain is so important. Pain. Pain makes you, nothing makes you evaluate more than pain. When you go through pain, you evaluate your friends. You evaluate your friends. Well, because of this friend, that's why I went through this kind of. You evaluate the friends that you really need. Some of us will never grow if we never felt pain. Never. You will never grow if you never felt pain. Pain is so important. Pain makes you realize how precious something is. You understand? Pain sometimes makes you realize what's precious in your life and what's not precious. So pain is very important. It's an important principle if you want to grow. If you want to grow, it's an important principle. This year I've been through some painful things in some relationships, but they made me realize the kind of people I want to hang out with and the kind of people I don't want to hang out with. Sometimes you need to get some pain to have clarity. So the last thing I want to talk about here, because it's almost 8 o'clock. The last thing, so I've talked about praise, I talked about practice, I talked about patience, and I talked about pain. The last thing, the last principle that helps us to develop a growth mindset is prayer. Is prayer. Is spirituality. I know for a very long time, when I was invited to platforms like this to speak, I used to feel uncomfortable talking about spirituality and God. I used to feel uncomfortable, but I realized that I would have this kind of conversations and people would tell me, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, but it's not working. And then my spirit would tell me, it's not working because you didn't tell them about the most important thing, which is spirituality, prayer, relationship with God, hearing from God. And that used to eat on my conscience a lot. So 2 years ago, I just made up my mind. No matter where I go, I'll tell everybody the truth. Whether you believe in God or not, you don't believe, that's your business. But I will tell you the truth as it works for me. Prayer is very important. Prayer is what causes growth. Prayer is God. In the end, is the invisible hand that allows stuff to grow. If the invisible hand says it will not grow, have the most praise in the world, have the most practice in the world, have the most patience in the world, go through the most pain in the world, it will not grow. People must understand that life is on two planes, the spiritual plane and the physical plane. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in the physical plane without a permission in the spiritual plane. I'll say that again. Absolutely nothing in the world that we live in manifests in the physical without a spiritual permission. Nothing. Nothing. Your ability to connect with the spiritual is the biggest key you can have in your life. The biggest access you can have is the ability to connect with the spiritual force called God. I have great pity for the people that don't believe in God. And there's now a generation of people in this world, young African people, and I say young African people, that are misinformed that the Western society is not a spiritual one. So I hear people continue to say, but in the US, where they don't pray, where they don't do this, they are moving in technology. That is the most ignorant statement I have heard the most ignorant I have ever heard in my life. That the US is not a spiritual society is a big fallacy. The problem is that people minimize spirituality to going to church. It is not. To going to the mosque. It is not. It is the acceptance of the idea that the world is bigger than us. That's where spirituality starts from. Look, if anybody tells you the US has made advancement based on physical effort, it is a lie. Every person at the forefront of advancement in the US is highly spiritual. I wish I could say this to more people. I think there are about 15 or so people on this group. I mean, there are more people that hear this. Stop believing. Stop believing that Bill Gates is not a spiritual person because he's not a Christian. Stop believing for one moment that Elon Musk is not a spiritual person because he's not a Muslim or a Christian. Stop this idiotic mindset that Jeff Bezos is built Amazon based on his abilities as a programmer or whatever it is, a tech person. It is not true. If you think Steve Jobs built Apple just because he's very intelligent and talented, no, it's not true. When I started reading this I've known this for a very long time, but this Steve Jobs book that I'm reading confirmed a lot to me. Look, in the beginning of the book, it writes all the names of the people that played an important part in Steve Jobs' life. All the names of the people. Amongst the names, you will find different people, and they will tell you they were his spiritual leaders. Steve Jobs is probably one of the most spiritual people that I've ever read about. But you know what? The website doesn't say it. Apple website doesn't say it. But that's why you need to go behind the scenes. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't wake up in the morning and go straight to his computer. He does more yoga than you think, more meditation than you think. Steve Jobs was a Buddhist, a devout Buddhist. There was nothing. He had something called Zen. I've forgotten what it's called now, but that's what he built Apple on Zen philosophy. You understand? Zen philosophy. So when you see Apple and you look at the phone and like, wow, this design is so nice. See their packaging, white, everything so minimalistic. You think he thought about that thing himself? Steve Jobs went to India for 7 months. He went to India, dropped out of school, went to India for 7 months to find spiritual enlightenment. How many of you know that? India to find spiritual enlightenment. After he found it, he went back to the US. An Indian guru moved to, I think, Silicon Valley or California, where he was living. And when he realized that that guy lived there, that Indian guru, he went to that man's house every single night to go and be with that man and meditate and learn and go for conferences and retreats with the man. Have you ever heard that? You wouldn't hear these things, but these people are more spiritual than you think. They might not be spiritual in a Christian faith way, which I might not agree with, but they have their faith. All of them have their faith. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Every single one. They do more spiritual investment than business investment. Look, you cannot grow anything in this world that is big must have spiritual backing. Nothing in this world does not have spiritual. Every single thing in this world has spiritual backing. If you see a big artist, music artist, he has spiritual. If he's big, he has spiritual backing. If you have a technology company, it's big, he has spiritual backing. There's nothing in this world that grows to heights that people admire that doesn't have spiritual backing. The person on top has serious spiritual backing. Serious ones. Serious ones. So this generation of people that believe that Nigeria, we pray too much. No, these countries that don't pray is not true. It is not true. Is it China that you want to say they don't pray? China. Are you kidding me? China. There's no country. There's no country that is doing well that is not built on spiritual values. Just that they do not wear it on their sleeves the way we wear it. It's very covert. Our own spirituality is very overt and not deep. Theirs is very covert and deep. Before America was made, do you know how many spiritual things were done? When you look at that dollar bill that is now the standard of the world, do you know how many spiritual things are on it? That dollar bill. Do you think it's by economy that dollar bill is the standard of the world? It's the most spiritual note in the world. There's more spiritual covert design in that thing than any other currency in the world. Any other one in the world. Nigerian currency is bland. There's no spirituality to it. That's why it's weak. That currency, that American currency, look at it, study it. So many spiritual symbols, so many things written in Latin that you don't understand. So don't ever say America is not a spiritual environment. It is built on thick spirituality. If you're going to grow, you have no spirituality, you cannot grow. I'm telling you, you can never grow. If you forget anything I tell you today, forget about patience, forget about practice, forget about praise, forget about pain, if you forget about prayer, as long as you don't forget about prayer, prayer will remind you about all these things. Prayer is very important. In closing, what I'm going to say is define what prayer is. This is where we get it wrong. And this is where American philosophy and Eastern philosophy of prayer works and the African one doesn't. It's because the African philosophy of prayer has become about telling God, talking to God. That's what we do the most. So a lot of my own prayer is we are talking a lot. Our prayer is very talkative. The Eastern and Western prayer is very meditative. And what that means is that they spend more time listening to what God is inspiring them to do. Whatever their God is, whatever their spiritual influence is, they are listening rather than talking. We are talking rather than listening. When you talk rather than listening, prayer will be of little effect. That's why it seems like we are praying so much and we are not receiving a lot. Because we are spending time talking more about what we want than what God wants. It is what God wants that allows for growth, not what we want. So prayer is so important. We have to be the right type of prayer. It's the meditative prayer that brings about growth, not the talkative prayer. It's the meditative prayer that allows you to learn, not the talkative prayer. So we need to understand prayer as a principle of growth. Prayer is connection with God. It's probably the most important principle, but one of the least propagated. People don't propagate it because a lot of people, they are ashamed of their spiritual influence because their spiritual influence is dark, so they can't tell you. A lot of them can't tell you because their spiritual influence is dark. It has made them do dark things that they are not proud of. But then when your spiritual influence is light, you propagate it. But we don't have enough people who have light-based spiritual influences. But I'm telling you today that the spiritual influence is very important if you're going to grow, if you're going to have a growth mindset. And I hope that helps someone out there today to understand that these principles are very important. I'll run through them again. The first thing is praise. The second thing is practice. The third thing is patience. The fourth thing is pain. And the fifth thing is prayer. I don't know if anybody has any question concerning this session, but I think I can take about 2 or so questions before I might have to leave. But I want to thank you for giving the opportunity to talk to you tonight, and I hope that somebody here was able to connect with what I've said.
Man. Thank you so much, sir. That was very insightful. Very insightful. Yeah. I don't even know where to start from. But I'm sure everyone can testify to it. Yeah. It's just it just like broke everything down in a short while and it was powerful. Yeah, and I'm glad that you talked about spirituality because at times when people are afraid to talk about being spiritual. Yeah. Okay. Me, I'm going to I don't know if anyone have questions, but I want to like it's more or less like a question and not really a question. Yeah. So for me, I love spirituality also. Yeah. But I think people they mistake spirituality for something else, as you have explained. And what I saw and what I know, it has affected me also before about our Christian faith, how we do things here in this side of the world. That we build, I still posted it, that we build more of our spirit. And what I meant is that we pray more. Yeah, we pray more, but we don't care about our mind, right? We pray so much more that you see some people, they say they want to do 20 hours praying in tongues. And at the end of the day, there is nothing significant that comes out of it. Yeah, it really baffles me. Not until I started like listening to mind builders, right? When I started listening to people and I saw that, okay, spirituality itself is a different thing entirely. It's more about the world, about the universe. There's so much more in this world that we need to know. But we should not just simplify it to um how we see our own spirituality, the prayer, the way we do all these things. Yeah. So, and you've talked about it. I want you to now help us like I think differentiate building mind separately from the spirituality. Yeah, you can be a spiritual person and then still work on your mind, because I know that if you don't work on your mind, then your spirit is as useless as anything. So what do you think, sir?
Well, the thing is that for those of you that listen to my podcast, don't listen to my podcast. I have a podcast called Pro Up Masterclass. Someone can type it
Yeah.
in the text, so you can
Yeah,
listen
let me
to it.
copy the link and drop it.
Okay, thanks. Um, and there's a podcast there where I talk about mind, body, soul, and
So
spirit.
yeah, that's the
Yes, very
sense.
very important. You see, a lot of us know about this our body. You know how tall you are. You know what your weight is. You know what your blood group is. You know all those things. Those things. You know what your complexion is. You know everything. Your information, your body information is so rich, but then our soul information is so poor and so weak. And your soul is what a lot of times we call our minds. You understand? This mind thing can be a very confusing thing, but then for the sake of this conversation, we can't really dive into that. But listen to that podcast. Listen, there's a podcast I have that is called This Thing Called Your Soul. I want you to listen to it. For those of you that listen to the podcast, and where I talked about your soul is very important. Your soul is where your creativity is, where your passion is, where your memories are, where your intuition. Now, what I'm talking about is because of intuition. The intuition is a very important thing. The intuition is different from the intellect, because the intellect is what you have learned. So your intellect is built on what you have learned. You understand what you learned by experience, what you learned by conversation, what people have told you, what you've learned by education. That's what your intellect is. But there's now something called an intuition. An intuition is a wonderful thing. An intuition is something that nobody taught you. Sometimes it goes against what you've experienced, but you just feel a need to do it that way. A lot of times, it's the intuition that groundbreaking success happens. Intuition. Intuition. You see, intellect success is easy to duplicate. Intellect success is the one that people guide. When you have intellect success, something that you think about, you have to invest, you went to school, you have to do some strategic collaboration, you have to sacrifice some things, then you get success. When you have it, you would guard it. You guard it, you guard it. You have what they call trade secrets. You guard it. Some people will even kill their competition so I don't come near them so they can stay. But when you have intuitive success, what that means is that something just told you, Start selling granite.
Mhm.
Granite from where to where? I'm telling you, it sounds ridiculous. I think granite. Why granite to where? Start selling granite and use only green bottles. That doesn't make sense to you. And then it seems very, very little. It seems like granite. How can granite do anything? But that's intuition. Your body just, your mind, your soul just tells you granite, and you don't question it. And you go to it and just start doing it. And then you start being successful. You know what? Other people will try. They will sell their own granite, green bottle, their bottle will be better than yours, but people will just come towards your own. Because you know what? When you have intuitive success, you will have intuitive patronage. So people will patronize you and not even know why. They say, I just felt like taking it. I just felt like buying this one. When you have intellectual success, you have intellectual patronage. So people will reason, how good is it? How strong is their bottle? How good is their label? And then they will go for the one that has better than you. So you're always insecure about people that are better than you. So what I'm trying to say, when you talk about this mind thing, this spirituality and success and how it deals with your mind, when you build your spirituality, it builds your ability to hear from your soul and to know what you should be doing intuitively.
Exactly. Exactly.
Intuitively, very important. You see, when I worked as a designer, I was very intuitive, highly intuitive. People think I was intellectual. I was highly intuitive in my design approach. So a lot of times I just do what my soul tells me to do for the client. So when I'm working in a logo, my soul just tell me, put in a butterfly there. I like butterfly. Where did this come from? So a lot of times I don't know, but I just feel like putting. And once I put in that butterfly there, and I show the client will say, "How did you know I wanted a butterfly? That butterfly that you put there, I don't know how you knew, but then that's like my
Just put
favorite
it
insect.
there.
That for me, butterfly just represents my life. I'm telling you that's how I used to work. That's how I used to work. Intuition. But a lot of clients, where they have intellectual inspiration, so they're like, what does Chris do say I should do? What does this person say I should do? What does this book say? Okay, but then the client will now
You
look at
always
it.
want to think about it.
They think about, but thinking is not bad. You understand? But thinking can
Yeah.
only take you so far. You understand? So when you start to think about it, you now get to client that begins to think about it too. Then now becomes a debate of intellect. You understand?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to learn to be more spiritual with our work. Spirituality with your work is so important. So important. Like, and sometimes intuition sometimes is what you see in nature. So sometimes as a designer, I'll just look out and I'll just see a color of a leaf. I'm like, man, this color is good. Oh. Maybe I should use this color for this. That's intuition. Just telling you to just go from nature and just do what nature, because the human being is always drawn to nature as a concept and nature as a template. You see, I keep going back to this apple. I think if anybody has that chance, read that book on Steve Jobs. It's a very good book. It's a very, very good book. One of the best books I've read in a long time. Look, when they were developing some of their products and they were
Sorry, what's
developing
the
the
name again,
design,
sir?
it's called Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Steve
Okay.
Jobs by Walter Isaacson. It's a good book. You can download the soft copy, read it. It's a good book. Any designer that reads it would really thoroughly enjoy it. He said when they were developing some of their products and they wanted to develop user interface, the person that was in charge of this user interface was designing circles and circles and circles. And the guy said circles are good, but circles are not natural enough. He says how many things in nature are in circles? And so he said they should use beveled square, rectangles or squares, beveled rectangles. And they went out and said, look at that billboard, beveled. See this table, beveled rectangle. See this. And he showed him so many things. And he said, if people see what they see every day, they will feel at home with the app. So you
Come
see,
on.
Hey, hello,
he
please.
looked at
Please
it.
mute yourself. Sorry, sir. Who is that? Please kindly mute yourself.
So
All right, I
Steve,
continue.
Steve Jobs' view of developing products was based on what was around him, not what he learnt particularly from school. You understand? So I really believe that spirituality, number one, is being one part of spirituality is being in touch with nature. The very important thing, being in touch with nature, very important, very important. We need to be so some of us I realize that when we create, when we work, we are indoors too much. A lot of times we need to find a way of going out and walking and feeling breeze. But not every time stay inside AC, stay inside fan. Let the breeze, hear birds, see animals, see water. You understand? Be in touch with nature. It prompts intuition. You understand? It prompts intuition. So for me as a person, I realize that prayer is very hard for me when I'm inside the room. So when I want to get closer and hear from God, I need to go out. So a lot of times in the morning, I go outside my house and just get to feel fresh air. And then before you know it, in a few minutes, I hear something. For those that follow me on WhatsApp, they know I write a lot. I write a lot of quotes and stuff. A lot of it comes to me. It's not me straining my mind. A lot of it comes to me early in the morning. I just have a thought. You understand? Those are spiritual thoughts that come from not from your intellect, from your intuition. So we need to learn to connect with our intuition. The intuition is so important. It's how some people's lives have been saved and how some people's lives have ended because they don't listen to their intuition. So you're in a bus going somewhere and you not got to your bus stop, but your intuition tells you get down. How should I get down? I'm not gotten there. You see, people that argue with their intuition, they're the one that gets in trouble the most. So there was one case of a lady last year, and that case really it hurt me a lot. Like if I knew the lady, but it hurt me a lot when I watched it. She was in a bus, and in that bus, she started feeling uncomfortable, and she started filming, and she sent it to her friend, saying, "I'm uncomfortable in this bus." So you can see her intuition had told her, "Get off," but then she was there, and she was filming and saying, "I'm not comfortable with this bus. Something I just don't like." And in the end, she never got home. In the end, they found her body. She had been murdered in Lagos. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. The video should still be there. It was a very popular case. But intuition always tells you before something. But a lot of us, we are intuition deaf. Intuition deaf because we have no sense of spirituality. You understand? We become so logical that we're like, everything must be explained to us. That everything explained to me. So when your intuition still comes, you say, "Why should I get out from this bus? Explain to me. Have I gotten to my bus stop? Is it close to my house? So if I now get down now, where will I get the next bus?" Intuition doesn't argue with you. It has too much wisdom to argue. You understand? It doesn't argue. It doesn't debate with you. Are you going to listen or will you not listen? If you don't listen, there are repercussions. You listen, there's reward. You understand? So we need to learn to be intuitive. Intuitive. It's good to be intellectual, but learn to be intuitive.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I think there's something I forgot to share with everybody. I'm sure some other people will have questions, but I want to quickly share this. Something I forgot to share during my session. I don't know if any of you have taken this test. It's called personality test. So I'm going to share a link now. 16 personality test. So you can take the test. So it helps you to know yourself, right? You're going to answer some questions and then they tell you about who you are, they tell you your personality. And then through that, you get to know your intuitive strengths. Yeah. You get to know how you feel, your emotions. You get to know how judging you are. And you know if you are introverted or extroverted. So it tells you more about your weakness, about your strength, the things you need to do, and so many things like that. So you tend to know whether you are more spiritual or you're not more spiritual. That's really helped me a lot. Yeah, my intuition now is about I think close to 80% or so. Yeah, so here's the link. I'll also share it on the group. Okay, so who else have questions?
I think I might be able to
Okay,
take one question because I might have to leave by 8:30.
okay,
So
okay, okay, sir. Yeah, let's quickly take this one.
I'm sorry. I don't know if you are on my Q&A Telegram group.
Okay, yeah, I am there.
You are there. If you can share the link
Yes.
with people, if you can share the link of the group, I don't know if I can get it, I'll share it with
I'll,
you on,
I'll,
or can you
the
get it?
link of the group. Yeah, I can get it.
Yes,
Let
so
me
that
open
people,
it.
For people that have questions that I cannot answer
Yeah,
tonight, you can ask it on the Q&A Telegram group.
on the group. Okay.
Okay, all right. So whoever has a question right now, I think there's one person that wants that. I can answer one more question.
All right. All right. So go, Olushola.
Okay, Olushola, you can ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Olushola. How are you doing? It's been a
Good,
while.
yeah, good evening, sir. Mabu, thank you for the class. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything. So, quick one. I just want to it's not quite related to what you have taught, but based on your vast experience, I want to help me put a balance to being a family man who has is it 5 to 9 work now, and who is also a designer. All right. How do we put a balance, to the prayer life, to the family, to the work, the freelance, and the design? How do one balance all of these things? What is the wisdom that one can put in currently to ensure that there is balance to all of these things? Thank you, sir.
All right. First of all, very quickly, how I answer that question is a lot of times we fall into this error that life is about balance. Life is not about balance. Balance only brings pressure to our lives. Balance is an equation that we try to solve that we will never ever solve. We are not created to have balance in our lives. Our life is not about balance. Our life is about obedience. You understand? And when you're obedient with your life, a lot of some things will seem out of balance. But that equation will solve faster than somebody that is trying to solve an equation with the theory of balance. Life is not about balance. I had to learn this too. So, when people tell me I'm trying to balance family life with emotional, with financial life, with spiritual, no, you're not meant to balance. Life is about obedience, and obedience has an order. First of all, you must understand that God is the center of life. And what he tells us to do per time becomes the important thing, not what we think or what we've been taught is important. It's a very, very against the grain mentality, but it's a very important mentality to have. God decides the order, not our thoughts, not our emotions, not the pressure, not that. It's God. When we put God first and we do what he wants first, we will realize that everything will fall in place. You see, when I stopped living my life with balance and just started committing my life to what God is asking me to do for the day, what happens is that every other thing I wanted to do finds a way of beautifully fitting in. So a lot of times, I spend my time, I just feel God leads me. And that's why the intuition is very important. Because a lot of people don't even know when God is talking to them. They don't know the voice of God. And that's because their own prayer is more about talking to God rather than hearing from God. You understand? So I've learned to know how God and when God is talking to me. So you see, for me, when God talks to me and says, call Olushola this morning, I've learned not to argue with it. I'll call Olushola this morning. I'll even call Olushola before I greet my wife in the morning. I will call Olushola before I greet my children in the morning. Olushola becomes more important than any activity I want to do, because that comes from the spirit. Once I've done that, even if my call with Olushola takes 2 hours, there might be a prompting within me, a natural prompting. Oh man, but you're spending too much time with a stranger, in quotes. There are more important people in your life. No, it doesn't matter how important I feel those people in my life might be. What is important is the important assignment I have to do. Do you understand? But a lot of times when we try to balance things, you're trying to balance, it means you're trying to live your life logically, not spiritually. And we're meant to live our life spiritually. And spirituality is a lot of times about being given an instruction, finding out what you are meant to do, as opposed to trying to reason. You are being given what to do. So a lot of us as talking, we are reasoning out our day, reasoning out our week, reasoning out our year, reasoning out our life. And life is always full of chaos because our reasoning is limited. But what we must do must be inspired. We must be inspired by God to know what to do with our day, our time, our week, our life. You understand? So it's definitely not about balance. You understand? Your life will be out of balance when it's observed by other people. When you are living a purposeful life, it will always be seen as like out of balance. Always be seen as like out of balance. In fact, that's one of the first evidence that your life is going in a purposeful way. It always seems out of balance. You see, I'm a Christian, so I'll share something I read in the Bible once. You see, there was a part of the Bible where Jesus was going around with his disciples, and it says so many people were following him, and they entered into a place, a house, and said they were unable to eat. And Jesus's family said, he has gone mad. That was his own family said. His family, then Mary, his brothers, and the rest of them. They said, surely he has gone mad. They said, Jesus, he has lost it. And I think it was the book of Mark. Just try to read the book of Mark. And it said his family came and they tried to get him away. They wanted to get him away from there. Where they wanted to take him to, I don't know. But they wanted to get him away so that they can look for somebody to try to treat his madness. And he said when they came, they told Jesus that his family was at the door, his mother and his brothers. And he told them, if they are at the door, they are not my family. My true family is here listening to me. So he didn't go out to meet them. Because he knew that if he had gone out, they would have caught him and say, no, this thing has gone to madness. Your life is out of balance. They are taking you to a shrink to check your head. But he didn't go out to meet them. His life seemed out of balance because he was doing everything that God told him to do. When you do everything that God tells you to do, your life will seem out of balance, but your peace will be in balance. A lot of people, their lives seem in balance by doing everything, taking care of their family, going to work, that they're responsible. You see them every day, you're like, man, this life, this guy is just, everything just seems to be falling in place. And then you hear that person killed himself. And we always wonder, why did he kill himself? See his beautiful family. See his beautiful children. See his beautiful job. See his beautiful salary. See his beautiful car. But what you don't see is the disobedient spirit. It's the disobedient spirit that he couldn't live with that made him kill himself. That's it. That's it. Was it not this man that everybody saw in Equatorial Guinea that has sex tape with so many people? Have you seen the picture of that guy's family? It looks more beautiful than a lot of people's family. Beautiful wife, beautiful children.
They look very
man,
amazing.
good job.
Very
Yes,
amazing.
now, good job. What was he looking for?
What was his name? Said that's a job he was.
I've forgotten his name. But internal turmoil. Internal turmoil. You understand? Because he's not doing what he should be doing that God is telling him to do. So it's not about balance. It's not about balance. It's about obedience. It's about obedience. What you must wake up every day doing is saying, God, what do you want me to do today? Lead me. Give me intuition. Let me know what to do and help me to obey. And that thing will challenge some things that you feel you ought to do as a responsibility. Responsibility is what holds us down. That thing that you ought to do as a responsibility is when you can look responsibility in the face and say, I will not follow this thing if it doesn't align with my assignment. Social responsibility. That social responsibility is a problem. Once you can give up social responsibility and align yourself with spiritual responsibilities, you would realize that you live a much happier, peaceful life. Happier, peaceful, more impactful life, by far. By far. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that one way or the other answers your question.
It does, sir. It does. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I get it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. for having me on this
Thank you
call.
so much, sir.
I really appreciate it. Thank you
We're
for
grateful
giving me
and
the
honored to
opportunity.
have you.
All right. Thank you so
sir.
much. All right.
Such a pleasure. Oh, wow. What are you guys going to say? Okay, he left.
Thank you, Sati. Oh.
Oh, wow. Should we go through everything we talked about already? Or you guys are fake?
Mambo, thank you. This is life transforming, man. This is a blast. Tonight is.
And before you thank me, hope you are not a Man U fan, sure.
No, I'm not. I'm a Barca fan.
Senior
I'm not
man,
a Man U fan.
hello.
Never,
Thank you,
never
thank you,
been,
thank
never
you.
Go
been.
back,
Person will organize
everybody.
this.
Never been.
I could not share this before. He mentioned it. I'm sorry, Man U
Please,
fans.
how can I get the audio of this program, please?
Yeah, it's recorded, sir. It's recorded.
How can I get?
We are going to upload it on
Okay,
YouTube.
please, I want to get it.
Yeah, you get it. You get it this weekend. You get everything.
The link of the YouTube, please.
Okay, my
Which
YouTube.
channel?
Okay, let me drop my YouTube channel. So
Please.
follow up.
Yes, please.
And please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe.
Drop it. Let me see it also. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that now. See, I don't want to talk about. I don't really want to talk about so many things that he mentioned about the praise, about the pain. Yeah. Okay. I think Michael, is this still here?
I'm here.
Yeah, you remember we were talking about some things last night. Yeah, about some designers and all of that. And I said, with time, people will be humbled. It is when you really face life. Many people, if you see people that are not humble today, they've not faced anything. They've not. I'm telling you, they've not had any issue at all. So they just believe they have the skill, and then they can do anything that they want. Life is beyond that. Yeah, you can live.
The most painful part is when everybody now banks, when everybody measures sources of money. That's because after you get the money, there'll still be a void in you.
Sure.
So is that the fulfillment you find?
I wanted to say something about the obedience that he mentioned. Actually, when the conference was approaching, I knew it is November, and I was confused. Why was I confused? I was working somewhere. Yeah, I wanted to leave, and then the current place I am too is choking me like this. Yeah, I don't have time for the academy. I think I told some people I don't have time for my academy. I don't have time for the community. Like, I don't really do most of the things I do. And because I'm working for people, why should that be? So I said, okay, the conference will be first week of November. Then I went back to where I got everything. And then they said, okay, just leave it for last week. And then this is last week of November. And I've not really faced any stress whatsoever. Yeah. And I put it in the hand of God to the extent that where I work, they don't know something is going on. Yeah, but there is no stress from them. I'm just facing stress because of kind of number of works that I handle. Yeah. So if we are obedient to nature, to the universe, to God, spiritually, everything will go on well. Because balance is really overrated, very overrated. And what he mentioned about prayer, I know almost every one of us, we pray. We have to meditate. Yeah, you have to sit down. Okay. Someone asked the question yesterday and was asking, I think he was asking how we can, I think it's about balance also, that where he's working, he's not growing. He's not growing where he's working. And then I advised him to know more about himself. Yeah, to know his goals. Yeah, that will help him know where he's going. If you have a sense of mission, it help you know the things you want to do part time, right? And this is also part of like everything that Mr. T mentioned today. On the first day, we talked about you knowing yourself. Yesterday, we thought about bringing ideas to life. And then today, I don't want to say anything about praise or anything. I want to I want to stamp the whole discussion on pain and prayer. Guys, pain will teach you a lot of things. As I'm seated right now, you may think I'm everywhere. You see medicines. Yeah, I'm just sitting in one corner. Why? Because I have light issue. I have like everything just happened today. But God had his way and everything is still moving fine. Yeah, pain will teach you. Pain will teach you. I don't think I have so much to say again. But is there anyone here who still have question for me or you have anything you want to share? Let's or we call it a night. Do you have any question for me or one thing you want to share with us? Please don't forget to read that book and take the personality test. It's going to help you big time. So if there are no questions, I think we should leave. Okay, we'll be meeting again tomorrow. Tomorrow is the fourth day. We have 2 more days, tomorrow and then Friday. So tomorrow it's going to be mind blowing also. Yeah. We are setting our mind here for what is to come. Yeah. And I'm grateful for this platform. Yeah. About the intuition thing that T mentioned and being mindful, yeah, being spiritual, yeah, majorly about being spiritual. I think I told you guys on the first day how I got this assignment. It's an assignment to me. It's a mission to me. I was walking. Yeah, I think I woke up that morning. Yeah, like I was just disturbed. Like, what am I doing? I can't keep walking for people, walking for people. I was walking in the sun, I think around 11 a.m. I was going to my friend's place. And as I was just walking, I just had purpose. I just had purpose. And then I left it. I was now thinking about it. When I got home at night, I prayed. And by the time I woke up in the morning, Purposeful Designer just came. And that's how everything started. Yeah, everything that we do daily, that we do every week, bringing guests for workshop, I did not plan it. Yeah, it was not written anyway. Yeah, they just started, right? So I believe the next things that we'll be doing also, we will plan, but most of the things will come from God. So I believe that we are moving into new horizon after this conference. After setting your mind right, you should know it is you are stepping onto greater heights. Yeah, I assure you guys. So thank you all for joining again tonight. For those who did not join, I'm sure they will catch up on YouTube later this weekend. We'll upload all the videos on YouTube. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Bless. Good night. Share your reviews. Share your reviews on the group. Oh, thank you.
will be blessed in your presence this evening. From Jesus' mighty name.